just because the first couple don't really need much of a meeting minutes part. Anyways, all right, so we're going to call the meeting to order. It's 7 o'clock. We'll do the Pledge of Allegiance.
No, we got a new one.
Oh,
wow.
Okay. I
Nice.
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Is there any public comment? Not seeing any. We're going to move on to the approval of the minutes. We have one from Bright, our meeting with the Bright program, and then our regular school committee meeting. So I need a motion and a second for those minutes.
To approve the minutes from November 18th Bright as well as November 18th school committee meeting.
Second.
Great. A motion and a second. Are there any discussion about the minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye. All right. We have some warrants. Payroll warrants 111 and 112. Any motion in a second?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And let's see. We'll do food service separately. 1019.
So moved. Is that good enough?
Yep. All in favor?
Aye.
Elementary 1020, 1021. Motion and a second.
So moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then secondary 1107 and 1109. 1108. Excuse me.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion?
No.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Great. We do have, it doesn't appear like we have any gifts, right, Caitlin?
No gifts.
Okay, but we do have a grant fund code 262 for $1,590. Take a motion. I need a motion and a second to approve that.
I motion we accept the grant FC 262 for $1,590.
Second that.
Okay, all in favor? Aye. Great. I'm sorry, I didn't hear everybody. Was there any abstention or no's? Okay. We do not appear to have we do not have a representative for Gil Montague, so we're moving on. It does not appear like we have our representative from the tech school. Does anybody know any different? Okay. Collaborative for Educational Services report. Is there one?
Briefly, just a small little blurb about our meeting. We had our meeting the 10th. I like to just take a second to say thank you. This position, I'm learning so much. I'm so new to that world, and it's such a big board, and then there's like more subcommittees on that board, and there's a lot of information that I'm learning there. I recommend, if you don't know anything about or much about CES, to view their website, because there is so much information on there. It's a whole other world down there. There was a lot of public comment this last meeting. They're still doing their executive director search. A lot of their employees came and did public comment just about how the search is going and what they'd like to see. They did their annual report, which everything's going well. They did a financial thing, which was a little not so great sounding, but their hopes, and they got things going on. And then it was just about the people they serve, and all those statistics are all on their website, and how great outreach they're doing, and their programs are looking up and doing great. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Regionalization update. We are going to be putting together a subcommittee, though that's further down in our new business. Is there anything else that anybody wants to report about the regionalization
There was no meeting held this month, though they sent out a slideshow just putting like out budget information, where some funds are going. They're finishing up their grant runs out the end of this month for the whole time frame they've been going on. So they're working on getting some more funding to keep it moving forward for all the town spring votes. But other than that, I don't have any like direct town information or anything like that. I just know that they're still pushing forward and trying to get all their brochures went out, and they're mailing stuff out to their voting towns, and not much else there. There wasn't an actual meeting this month.
Okay.
I got a printout from Caitlin about where all the kids go, which ones go where, and how many at what grade levels and everything. So we have some clue as what we really are doing right now, or what they're doing right now. They're going quite a few different places.
Yep. Okay. Moving on. We have capital planning committee update. Do we have an update?
We do. We're going to have a meeting in January. I
Okay.
just spoke with Mark about that.
And we're up to superintendent's report.
Okay. I know you have a copy of this in your packets, but some EES updates. Staff and leadership continue to work on implementing high-quality instructional materials and instructional practices through our work with the PRISM grant. In collaboration with Swift River School and Leverett Elementary School, Erving Elementary has taken part in instructional walkthroughs, student data meetings, and a literacy consortium. The work on the grant is extensive. It's been a lot of work. There are a lot of requirements for that. It's been great work, but the EES staff have been fully engaged in the work and have been very collaborative and reflective. EES and Union 28 leadership are working with the town of Erving to develop the proposed budget. Budget presentations will be shared with the select board on December 22nd, and the final budget proposal will be sent to the town hall by January 2nd. Those are the deadlines that we've had. We've had some ongoing heating challenges at EES, and Beth has met with Glenn McCory, head custodian Eric Harris, and Jamrog to ensure consistent heat in the building and address any repairs or updates that may be needed. This will likely be the first in a series of updates as we dive deeper into that issue, which I think will also go to the, we'll talk about it at capital planning. But they have really worked together to make sure and Beth, you correct me if I'm wrong, the heat shuts off has been part of the problem.
The heat has been shutting off. It just trips the switch because the program on the computer is very old, and the computer itself is actually quite old as well. And so Glenn recommended, and what we've chosen to do is to, particularly on nights where it's going to be exceptionally cold, we're leaving it on without the ability to have the evening dampener. So we lower the actual overall temperature so that it's not pumping out at the same rate we would want to be with the kids, but we at least leave it at a, like a 60-degree mark so that we're not going to freeze pipes, we're not going to, have damage to property, it's not going to trip off. So.
And I'm sure that'll be something we continue to hear updates about, but just to keep you all in the loop about that.
What does it usually do when it's if the computer is working, what does it do?
So it turns itself off fully, and then once a low temperature is achieved, it'll turn itself automatically back on again.
What is that low temperature is what I was wondering.
Somewhere in the mid-50s.
Okay.
So it's just, so it gets it to a point where it's, and then it'll turn it back on again. Again, when it hits early, like low 60s, it'll turn back off again. And so it keeps it within the rate where we're not going to lose pipes.
Right.
But we're not overly,
heating.
Now we're just, if it hits, we're not dropping it at 60. We're leaving it on, but we're also not leaving the upper end. Like it's not going to go to 80 during the middle of the night either.
Okay. Some Union 28 updates. The DESE Commissioner Pedro Martinez will be visiting Swift River School on December 19th, a Friday before the break. I just feel the need to say that every time it comes up. The Friday afternoon during lunch before the holiday break. But we're excited. On December 9th, Director of Curriculum Lindsay Rodriguez and I met with the parent-teacher group officers from each of the Union school districts to discuss ongoing parent collaboration, programming support, and communication strategy. It was a step in working to improve our family and community outreach and leverage our title resources that are designated for family engagement. The Union 28 CPAC group will be meeting tomorrow here. And we'll have a presentation by EES speech and language pathologist Heather Peterson, who will be sharing strategies families can use to support their child's ability to plan and problem solve. The event is for all Union 28 families and will run from 6 to 7. Some legislative updates. On November 18th, the U.S. Department of Education informed state legislative leaders of its intent to transition the management of several major programs to other federal agencies. The announcement states that the majority of programs currently managed under the Federal Office of Elementary and Secondary Education will transition to the Department of Labor via an interagency agreement. These programs will include our title programs, Title I, Title 1A, Title 2A, Title 3A, Title 4A, as well as the McKinney-Vento Homeless Act. The Individuals with Disability Education Act programs will for the moment still remain with the Department of Education, as will the Office of Civil Rights. USED officials noted the signed agreements with the Department of Labor and other agencies are only a first step and could not provide immediate details on the timing or specifics of the interagency transitions. These details will vary by program. I've linked the press releases, a statement from our DESE Commissioner Pedro Martinez. I realize these changes may raise concerns in your communities and you will likely have and receive questions about how these changes will impact your school or district. DESE will share more information when we know more. We still don't know more, just so we're clear. Please know that we remain committed to Massachusetts public schools and the students and educators and staff who serve them. I also linked the comments by the Patrick Tutwiler, who is the Secretary of Education for Massachusetts. So these are all of our funds around some remediation, professional development, and so we're going to, they're being housed differently, and so right now we don't know what that means, but certainly every state has been given formal notice that they're going to go through a different department, and so we're just sort of waiting.
Did they give any indication as to whether the people, like the contact people, were going to be moving, or whether there were going to be brand new contact people?
I don't know. I don't know. If they did, it didn't trickle down to the superintendent level. So right now, I mean, I think that it creates some angst, right, whenever you don't know something, but that's the update from there. I will say, which isn't part of my report because it just happened this week and I'd already done my report, but Senator Natalie Blais and Joe Comerford held a information session at Lever Elementary School this weekend where they talked about the funding, you know, how Massachusetts schools get funded. And they, you know, there's been a lot of talk. They want to see Chapter 70, and I've shared with you the advocacy efforts around having Chapter 70 re-examined. It's pretty clear that's a lengthy process, and so they're still fully supporting that, but that is, for it from start to finish, is like a 3 to 5 year project, so it's not a quick fix. They are focusing a lot of their efforts right now on looking at rural aid. Rural aid, there was an independent study that says in Massachusetts, rural aid should be about $60 million to truly level the playing field for rural schools. It was earmarked at $20 million, and then it was cut by 4. So in our schools, we received less in rural aid, and so they're really trying to focus their efforts there because they think that it can be timely. And they're looking for Governor Healy to free up some of the funding in the Millionaire's Tax Fund, which is money that can only be used for education or transportation. And so they're thinking that that might help rural schools in a more timely fashion. So they're still looking at the Chapter 70 advocacy efforts, but they're really looking at the rural aid efforts. And I am happy they have a website around rural education that's certainly geared towards Western Massachusetts, and I'm happy to share that link with you all. It gives you a lot of good information. And so that is the end of my report.
So could you post that to us, that link?
I certainly can.
Any other questions? All right, so we will move into the Director of Finance and Operations.
All right,
right, so I don't have a lot of dialogue in my report, but there are some things linked into it. The first one is a spreadsheet for the elementary and secondary budgets. So our budget is looking pretty good right now. We haven't had any unanticipated expenses. Usually those comes from facilities or special education, but we are on track right now with those. We also had some changes to some personnel that have what we budgeted for and what we have this year look a little different for each of those lines. And for the paraprofessional lines, we had to move one. We did adjust a para from regular ed into the special education line. So you'll see a $55,000 balance in one and a $43,000 overage in another. And those are because what we budgeted to what the reality is sometimes changes. There is also a tab for secondary. We don't have much information on secondary yet because we don't have the first quarter tuition bill. So we don't know what the tuition looks like yet. So it's hard to encumber a figure we just don't have. So that's not a really useful tab because there's just that unknown. For last meeting, there was a question about the STARS revolving account. And that was sent out last week, but
I'm sorry, Caitlin, not to interrupt you, but I don't want you to leave this part.
Sure.
I have a question. I'm noticing that, so back to the budget, you have the manual encumbrances, some of them are in blue. Is there significance to the fact that some of them are in blue?
yes, so those are all the salary lines. So it kind of helps me create it and know to mark those in, and I'm hoping kind of helps now that you know that to say, okay, anything in the blue is a salary line for Erving Elementary. The purple is a salary line for Union 28.
And so I heard you talk about the para, moving from line to line. But for instance, like under line 13, classroom teacher salary, there's $9,944 that you had to manually encumber. Can you just talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, so we have two positions at the school that are not paid for out of the Erving. That the payroll doesn't come directly from Erving; it comes from Swift River. So what we do is, because the system won't encumber it, because those are two different entities, the spreadsheet gives me the ability to manually encumber it, so you can see what isn't accounted for. The system doesn't know is there, but we will be paying.
And is that the same rationale for line 16, the therapeutic
Yes.
services?
Yep.
And those positions they work within the union, but they work, for example, PT one day here, one day at Swift River, and so their salary doesn't come out of the Erving payroll like a classroom teacher would.
Those are invoiced through the warrants. You'll see a payment to New Salem Wendell to cover the portion of the Erving salary.
Okay. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any other questions about the salary, the budget before Caitlin moves on to the next part? Okay. Okay.
So the STARS revolving fund, we took in $18,482 last year. The expenditures last year, a lot of them were supplies. When we looked at what they were, they're actually property of the school and not consumables that we used through the year for those specific students. So we didn't use any of the first revenue to cover them. And at the time, the paraprofessional that was working at the school of the student, because it was a mid-year change, was still an employee of another school. So we didn't have any payroll expenses for that position through Erving. This year we're expected $55,000 for tuition in revenue, and that will go towards the summer programming that was done this past summer. Paraprofessional, the portion of the BCBA's salary and the time that she spends working in that program.
And at the anticipated year-end balance is really what if we still have we still have revenue to spend on additional supplies and materials, and it's nice to anticipate leaving the year with a little bit of a balance. We don't know if we've had some change of personnel. We don't know if a new paraprofessional is assigned that takes or is hired that takes benefits. We have that room to cover some of those expenses. We haven't had any benefits expenses in that program so far, but this way we can kind of keep a consistent tuition rate without fluctuating based on health insurance benefits, whether staff takes them or not.
So where did the $18,482 go from last year?
It's in the account, in the revolving fund.
So what is actually in the revolving account? Because those numbers don't really add up to that.
That is the anticipated year end of everything that we've paid so far is encumbered, what we rolled in from last year and what the revenue we expect for this year.
So you have $18,482 from last year that you didn't use, and then your anticipated expenses this year is $16,885.83. Is that correct?
Plus there's $35,986 encumbered for the staff for the remainder of the year.
16,000 is what we've spent.
Yes.
What you spent to
Up to date, yeah.
I see. But you're expecting for the whole year it to be a total of $35,986?
No, that's the amount that's encumbered, what we will be spending for the remainder of the year. So it's the sum of those two, which is $52,871.85 is the total.
So how has the BCBA cost us to date in December $2,351, but from December to June you're thinking it's going to cost us another $15,687? We're just about halfway through the year.
Well, we're halfway through the school calendar year, but there's also amounts encumbered for summer payroll, and this is it's just a portion of their salary because they spend time outside of the program as well.
I understand the portion, but wouldn't it be more like yeah, I'm just surprised the amount is so low up until December, which is 100. I mean, we're not quite 100 days in, right? We're slightly less than that.
It's about 70 days in.
Yeah. But so you're expecting it to cost another $15,687 from December to through July.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I don't know that math because the paraprofessional costs $10,000 up to date, and through July is only going to cost another, half, up to 20.
So proportionally, because of it could just be when we looked at the staffing and made the adjustments in the system, it had paid some, it hadn't paid all. Here's the rest that will be paid.
Okay. And that's reflected in our budget when we look at our budget?
So the budget that was created last year included a portion of the BCBA salary to be covered by the STARS revolving account. That's why we've been able to keep our percent. One of the reasons we've been able to keep our percent increase low is that program has absorbed some of the cost of a position that we already had.
And what line is the BCBA in?
Therapeutic services.
So line 16 for anybody looking at it. Okay, there's no notation on this one that shows us what the BCBA cost is coming out. is being paid for.
I'm not sure what you're asking. Mackenzie.
I'm noting that there isn't a note on here in the notes on the budget how much of the BCBA salary is being carved out and paid for by the Bright program or by the STARS program. Sorry.
So just looking at this math, I'm guessing it's about $18,000, right? Because we've encumbered 15.6 and we've spent 23. So you want in another, you want it additionally in the budget?
Well, I mean, I just think it would be helpful for us looking at the budget to see where that money came from. I mean, it's budgeted at $403,000. It would be helpful, I guess, at least to me, to see that what is being taken out of that and being paid for by somewhere else. Or is that after the Bright program is paying, the STARS program is paying for whatever they're paying for?
So when we budgeted last year, we had taken out some of the portion of the BCBA relative to their hours of service within that program with the student out of their salary, which then, because it's the therapeutic services is a lump of OT, PT, speech, BCBA, adjustment counselor, because those are all rolled together, you don't see the payroll sheets and any of the budgets of which positions or what's being paid from the STARS program. Part of it was paid.
So what I'm saying is the in the budget, in that line 16, there's $403,831 budgeted, right? Does that mean that the actual cost is higher because you've already taken out the amount that Bright has paid? Okay, so that's what I'm saying. If we could just somehow note that, so we can kind of remember that that's actually not the cost. It's the cost. It would actually cost more if the Bright program wasn't there. Correct?
Okay. Yes.
Yeah. I don't want us to think, oh, that's what that line costs us, because it's not really what it costs us, because we've already taken, some of the money out. Does that make sense? What I'm saying?
I think so.
Wouldn't we typically, and I don't know, would we add this as a revenue source?
Yeah. Well, it's a
I'm
revenue
wondering if
into the
that's where we
revolving
would
account.
see it. You know what I'm? I don't know.
Is it there?
It's a revenue to the revolving account, which operates separately from the operating budget.
Okay. So we can put it in one or the
I
other.
think we need to note it somewhere, just so that we're not getting the false sense that it only costs us $403,000 to have all those positions. It really doesn't. It costs us $403 plus whatever
plus
STARS is paying. I keep saying Bright, but I mean STARS.
Yeah.
Whatever STARS is kicking in.
Bright stars.
I know. They're too similar.
Yeah, I was just asking for Kate. Look, I don't know which is easier to show it as a revenue source, but to your point, to see it somewhere.
Somewhere.
Yep.
Just let us know
That's
somewhere
fine.
where it is.
So it might be a good idea moving forward for like the FY27 budget to when I have a tab for grants in school, or not school choice yet, but I will have grants in school choice moving forward. But to have a also maybe a separate section of here's the revolving account, here's our revenue and what it's being spent on. I think it's really
important to keep in mind that that's really not the true cost of that. It's really that plus however much Bright, did it again, STARS pays.
Right. Right. But these positions were, with maybe the exception of, these positions were in the Erving budget before. We didn't add to the budget. We're just now paying for part of those already embedded positions.
Right, but if STARS goes away tomorrow, right,
I
got
get
to
your point. I just
backfill
wanted to make it
that
clear
amount
that,
of money.
Right, exactly.
I think it's one of those slippery slopes like school choice. If it went away,
Right, you want to just be able to
we
have
still
it,
need
to know
pay
where
those-
it is. No,
pay
absolutely.
those salaries.
Any other questions on STARS?
I don't think we have any other budget questions, right?
Right.
Okay.
Because I think it's on the agenda later on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so the FY27 elementary and secondary budgets, we haven't had any changes since the last meeting. The town has asked us to submit our amounts for elementary and for secondary by the 22nd, which is Monday. We wanted to wait until after this meeting. We need more discussion about it before we submit any amounts to the town.
And you do know that date has now been pushed to the
Has it?
second.
Oh, you shouldn't have told me.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Well,
It's now the second.
the other thing I'll say is I need access to your spreadsheet. It's requesting access.
Oh, the
Fiscal year
Level
one.
service budget.
Okay.
okay. Give me
It's been
just a
moved to
second.
when?
No, I'm not going to tell you now.
December 19th.
No.
Don't even say that.
No. No.
Um,
there's been a change. January 2nd is what
Happy New Year.
email I received. but-
Okay. Well, we'll be ready to go on the 22nd. So when
all right, so now it is available to anyone with the link has access to it. Sorry about that.
You
There
say
we go.
Friday, the 2nd of January?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
I believe that is the email that came out. But if we can have it there early, all the better.
Need anybody else there? Any of the rest of us? Do the rest of us need to be there?
Oh, and this is just when the budgets have to be
Yes,
there.
they
And the
have to be
narratives.
in.
We will have a meeting. I believe it's in February. Is that what you
Right.
did? You
with the
just say that?
select board, right?
I think
Yes,
it's
Finance
on my
Committee,
calendar.
Select Board, Capital Planning is in February.
Yeah, it's on the agendas too. Each town department has a set day to come.
So the budget, we are still at a 2.5% increase.
And there have not been any changes since our last meeting.
And just to be clear, this is a level service budget.
The level service budget.
Is at 2.5%.
Yes, we had 3.5% increase with COLA, but we had some decreases with special education, students changing, aging out. So we were able to get down to 2.5%.
Is the fuel increase just like a monetary, like what we think it's going up to? Because it's gone up so much.
We-
Like where we're projected to be this year, just because we're a little over on our budget already this year.
So that's last year we only budgeted 40,000, even though we had been typically going over, but we used some rural aid to cover to cover a portion of it. This year we're budgeting to change the use of rural aid, so we had to increase that line back up, but it decreased elsewhere.
Super.
And can you just speak quickly to where that rural aid is going instead?
Sure. So if you go down to page 6, Rural aid was used 15,000 for fuel, 15,000 for school power, and 5,900 for substitutes for this year. Next year, we would like to use it for 20,000 towards the therapeutic services for the adjustment counselor. And we had to decrease our dependence on rural aid because our rural aid came in lower this year. They decreased it across the state.
I'm still trying to get to where you were.
On page 6. And I did notice an error on page 6, which has been corrected, but not since this was published. For the bright line, it says 20,000. That was just a carry down from a different place, and it's been fixed.
And it's what?
It is, well, it's 0 because the bright funding is running out. So it says bright for FY27, 20,000. That was just an error on my part. It was a typo, and it's been fixed. Just not since this was published. Or after that was published.
So the fiscal year budget is 0 for Bright.
Yes.
Okay, so why? You said that the rural aid is going to be used instead for what position?
Adjustment counselor.
And that position is where? What line is the position?
Therapeutic services, line 16.
So they're in therapeutic services as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's line 37 on here.
Oh, is it different? They may have.
But
You're right. It's line 37.
So are we losing grant funding and having to move the rural aid to there?
It is reducing, but that wasn't the decision making behind the different use of the grant funding. It is, I think it's easier to track things like our fuel expenses year over year if we don't use grant funding towards it, if it's used towards positions.
so you've in line 37, you've added the 15,000 and we're still increasing it another 8.
Yep.
And what is the narrative for that?
Well, it's a 2% increase, and all of the staff have a 3.5% plus anyone that's on a step. So it would naturally be over 3.5% normally, but the 15% decreased it a little. With 15,000.
The 15,000 is now coming from the rural aid.
Mm-hmm.
But it says it's 20,000 coming from rural aid.
Sorry, 20,000.
Okay.
Right. 15,000 was our REAP. Different, one's state, one's federal. But the REAP grant's federal, and that will go towards our MLL teacher. 20,000 from rural aid, which will go towards the adjustment counselor.
So again, this plays into what we discussed with the budget. The 403 is not the real number here, and we have to add that 15,000 to that 403. 831 as in the 2026 budget.
Yes, if you were to look at therapeutic services line, what we budget, what we use grants for this year to next year, 20,000 will be used towards that line, which kept the percent increase lower than the COLA for the existing staff.
Okay.
Right, but I think, so I'm just going to add on to what you were just saying, Kelly. So it would be helpful for us to have that noted somewhere. It says change in use of grant funding, but that doesn't really give us an idea of what that really means. Does that mean a less or more? In this case, it means that you've added all of that money into that line.
Yeah, I'll add a note.
Do we have a full-time ML teacher?
No.
Multilingual.
So for ELL students.
Gotcha. Thank you.
It's sometimes it's ML, sometimes it's EL, sometimes it's ELL.
Gotcha.
It's called different things. It all means the same. And now that we've had our van up and running, how are we looking for costs for that? I'm looking to see where actually that even is.
Line 72. I was actually
Well,
just
that's-
looking at that.
Bed transportation, is
Oh, is
that
that not the
ours?
same?
Is that our van?
That is our van.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we have any other. I don't think the elementary budget has any other.
The only transportation that we provide for special education students is via the van
Okay,
at this time.
so that line 72 is our van. And so it went down to $928?
Yes, $20,000 is budgeted from circuit breaker.
And
Does
is
that
that
reflect in there though?
It's
Yeah, it does say.
It does
on
say
the
that,
It
side.
says it on the side, but
Yep.
according to this, we're budgeting $900. I mean, I see that on the side, but we're really budgeting $20,928, right?
Yes, if you go to the grants page on page 6, it'll give you the breakdown of what we used circuit breaker for before for this year and what we're using for next year. And these change because our expenses change. So this current year, we were using 20,000 for we used 22,500 for special education for transportation. This year we're using 20,000, and we used contracted services for this year. Next year, that's not something that I don't think we're going to have the $20,000 expense around. So we reallocated where we're using circuit breaker.
so that line 72, that includes the driver's salary, or is that just the van?
We don't pay for the van itself. We own the van.
Well, that's what I'm trying to understand, where the $20,928 is. The salary for the van driver?
Yes.
As
Okay.
well as gas? Like, is gas and upkeep as well, or is that under a different budget?
No.
The town covers the gas.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So even though they're part of a contract of Unit B, their particular salary is broken out and called sped transportation.
Their salary comes out of the special education transportation line.
Is that the only thing that comes out of that line?
I think what we looked at for next year, that will be the only thing that comes out of that line.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes we have windshield wiper that breaks, or paying for registration or inspection. I think some of those little costs trickle in, but the majority of it is the salary for the driver.
The only thing that I was gonna, let me rephrase. One of the things that I was going to suggest is that we budget in for schools committee, for the conference that I attended, to allow for more than one person to go to the conference. So I guess that would go under our school committee contracted services. Is that where that would come from?
It may be other school committee expenses, but I can look that up for you.
What would be, other than the audit, what would come out of school committee contracted services?
Give me a minute. I can look into that line. It could be your minutes, the meetings.
But you'd like to add, Mackenzie, more so that there's funding for.
I would, but if that can be covered somewhere, if it can be covered within those lines, then obviously that would,
Yeah.
I'd rather that.
Yeah.
So contracted services covers our Medicaid reporting through Lower Pioneer Valley Educational Collaborative, We had a lot of translation services this year that we needed, and the
translation services came out of the school committee contracted services?
yes, because it has to come from the district, and so it was the most appropriate line for that.
That wasn't because of special education needs?
It's not special education.
It wasn't because of like IEP meetings, things like that?
No.
No, we have to send home at the beginning of the year things on behalf of, like, all the district paperwork has to be translated.
Collaborative for educational, or the CES amount for the annual membership, and other expenses covers the minutes and the dues to MASC.
So it would have to, one of those lines would have to be raised to accommodate for that.
Yes.
And which line would it go under?
That's usually a building decision, whether they want to, whether it's contracted service or other expense. If it's for a hotel reimbursement, that would be other expense.
Well,
How many people would you like to go?
Well, I mean, it's at the conference it was suggested that at least 2 members go. Many school committee had multiple 3, 4, 5. I mean, we're a small group with a fairly small budget, so trying to be thoughtful about that. I would think that at least 2 people going would be really beneficial to this committee. Caitlin, you have the amount of how much it costs to go to the conference. I don't have that anymore. That's already been paid for. And then I know what it costs to be reimbursed for the hotel and the mileage. But so, I mean, it's really, it's obviously it's a board decision, but I would recommend that we put more money into those lines to accommodate for that conference. It's a multi-day conference. I think next year it might be in a different location, so that may change the price a little bit. I don't know, but it's worth, I think, at least having a discussion about. I mean, again, obviously we will vote as a committee.
I think it's a great opportunity to have multiple people there learning and getting information and soaking it all up.
I would agree that the networking with people you don't usually see, you may go there for a day or 2 or 3 and only learn just a couple things that could be very beneficial to the students, beneficial to the committee, financially beneficial to the taxpayer, way above and beyond whatever few dollars it would cost to go there. It may seem like people think you're just going on vacation, but you'll learn a lot, and it has value, truly does. I've been to a number of different conferences where a lot of I just sit there and I say, oh yeah, son of a gun, I can save $30,000. Yeah.
And I will say, historically, we've gone. I mean, I went years and years ago when I was on the committee the first time around, and we had 2 people going, and then somewhere along the line that changed, but it really was, I think, really beneficial and interesting. And as you said, it was really nice to be with people, with other people doing this job. So. That being said, Caitlin, I don't know what to even suggest as a dollar figure because I don't know what the cost was.
Well, if we can increase it to meet what the registration was for an additional, it's up to you, 1 or 2 people, and look at get an idea of what the mileage is. We can revise this and put that extra amount in. If the committee is not going to meet before we give those figures to the town, but if you are okay with me increasing it to meet those costs, I can give the town the amount adjusted for the additional conference.
Certainly we can do that, and or if we feel like we need to meet again because of other reasons and or this reason, we can certainly put another meeting in place, which takes 48 hours. So
can you get us the figure on the My brain just went completely blank when I
On the
opened my mouth.
MASC conference.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
On what it was to attend as one person when you have time.
Yes, I can
Send
I
it
can
out to us so
look
we
into that.
know, and then we all see if maybe adding 1 or 2 people is a smart
How
idea.
long
to
a
put them in.
conference was it?
3 days.
Do they have to have voted on that amount before we submit?
No.
Okay.
If we can accomplish that, under the guidelines the town wants of level without adding a bunch of stuff, that would be good to do. I'm not sure how you accomplish that, but I'd suggest if we can, good way to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Easier said than done, maybe, but
Yeah. Why don't we do that? Why don't we, if you can within the next day or two, send out that information, and then it may just simply that we put another meeting for another quick meeting to just approve or not the addition of that in our budget. That can be our only agenda item on the budget. I mean, on
On the meeting.
the agenda. Yeah.
Love it.
How do people feel about that?
It's okay.
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 And the Erving secondary budget, no changes. We don't have figures yet on what the tuition rate's going to be for this year.
I actually do have a question. I wasn't going to have a question, and then I was like, oh yeah, I do have a question. Secondary special ed transportation, is that different for some reason? Can the same R van not also do second, or is it just a timing thing, or is it not something that we're able to transport our own town students for?
So we only have one van, and it's become really difficult to stack up any multiple routes within with only having one van.
Okay.
We were able to do a double route for the 2 elementary people, one coming here, one going to a different location.
Yeah.
So we are able to stack those,
Yeah.
but stacking in a third going to the high school wouldn't work. They wouldn't be back in enough time to pick up either of the elementary people.
Gotcha. Okay.
And that number fluctuates a lot. Every time we have a different placement or a student ages out, or there's always transitions. We'll see it kind of been up and then down, and
I just figured we have a van. Make that person work.
That person works exceptionally hard.
Any other questions for Caitlin?
Nope.
What's the percentage for the secondary?
right now we're at a negative 1.9%, but that's
I
the
wanted to make
majority
sure I
of
was
that
reading
is the
that.
tuition, so it's just hard to tell.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we'll hold on the budget until we get the figures for the conference, and then we will have another meeting, and at that point we'll give you the final, whatever the, just, you know, whatever the final is.
All right, and that's the end of my report.
Thank you.
Great. You're up.
Okay. Well, welcome to December. We are holding at 108 students. You will note that our children decided that the snow play was a wonderful activity. We have been outside as often as we can be and enjoying that. In a not surprising twist of events, our K1, pre-K K1 2 students are coming with all of their appropriate snow gear, well packed and ready to go. Our 5, 6, sometimes 4, 5, 6 students are coming with less appropriate clothing. And it's making it a little bit more challenging because we'd like them to wear enough warm clothes to not get frostbite, and they'd like to wear less than enough clothes to not get frostbite.
natural consequences. You're cold and cold. Put your coat on.
They're gonna, yes, that is not true. That is not far off. Family engagement, family and community engagement. We had our safety drill this on Thursday, December 4th. That was very productive. We appreciated having our Erving police force here to assist with that. This was our first teacher-led drill, and so a teacher started the drill from their classroom location. The teacher, Mr. Barnett, from 6th grade, was given a critique from some of his students about how he wasn't loud enough like they were. I'm gonna tell you, I think that he was modeling good language, volume control for them, but we'll work on that with them as well. The new shades have been ordered. I've been working with Brian about that. They are on pace to be installed during December break. So I'm very excited about that. Those shades are both internal and external shades, and so we'll have fully functioning shades up and running. So very excited. Play practice is underway. We have not yet decided on parts for Toy Story, The Great Crayon, and Slinky Dog Rescue. But the kids are learning about being on stage, and we've split into 3 groups. We have a group of students who are looking to try out for more substantive, meaty parts like Buzz and like Woody and Bo Peep. And we have a group of people who want to try out for some lines, but not many. And then we have a group of people who would like to just be on stage or in the background moving sets around. So we have a lot of different kids. We're 41 in all. So we are really excited to be able to have that underway. March, if you're marking your calendars, Friday, March 13th will be the one and only performance. We will do a dry run trial rehearsal play during the day, but in the evening on Friday, March 13th, it will take off and be right on stage. So we are very excited about that. Kindergarten was the winner of this year's Name a Snowplow. We thank Glenn for continuing to engage us with this, and the kindergarten drawings were tremendous. And Paxton, one of our kindergartners, drew the drawing, and so it was a great event altogether. You'll see the pictures here are from the 1st and 2nd grade March for Hunger. They went down to Amherst, and it was a really wonderful opportunity for them to learn about food insecurity and to be able to support communities and to be able to understand the importance of supporting and engaging as an active member of a community. And then previewing our next event is that my collaboration with the library. Our technology safety night will be on January 6th at 5 p.m. in the library. We will be wrapping it up promptly at 5:45 because we do know that the town has a different committee that is using the same room as us. So we will be out the door before their thing starts. So if you're looking for something really engaging to do on Tuesday, January 6th from 5 to 5:45, I'm going to be presenting on tech safety. We're going to be talking about the idea of taking a tech break and maybe a little, reflection on how much time we spend on our phones. So we can be modeling for our children about how much time and they should be spending on technology and social media in general. And I had hoped to present last month, unfortunately could not be with you, but since August, I have been linking in our school improvement plan here. We had our most recent meeting on December 1st. We talked about scheduling through the course of the spring. We set our agenda for our spring meetings. We have set meetings on February 2nd, April 6th, and June 1st. And I'm going to just click onto this link here in the presentation to our school improvement plan.
Do we have that? Do we have the link or no?
Yep, it's right in the presentation. If you're in presentation mode, that picture will have a link to it.
Oh.
Yep, there you go.
Yep.
No, I haven't found
Recognize
it yet.
it as a link.
Where is it?
Just
Yep, there you go.
Oh, down there. Got it.
It's also in your packet.
Yeah.
Yes.
On the paper.
So we, yep, we have our background, just a write-up about what we are, we're committed to providing school as safe for children and adults. We're committed to an educational environment that recognizes and develops individuals' potential for all students, all the different things we commit to as a school. I included the Erving Union 28 vision. We have our enrollment numbers. Actually, sorry, that one went up since our last meeting. And specifically included our ML numbers. We have 4 students this year. A kindergarten, sorry. Swap that one out as well. Apologize. 2 first grade. Apologize on that one. Not 1 kindergarten, 1 first grader. 2 first grade, 1 third grade, 1 sixth grade for a total of 4. We have 27 special education students receiving services that for their needs. We have the 4 goals that I presented previously that were identified by our school council. The first was an academic goal, talking about intervention plans. We have been meeting. We have had regular meetings as a staff to work on these plans, to do interventions for our students that will identify the gaps students are facing in being on grade level and what we can do intervention-wise to support them closing those gaps. We also talked about behavioral expectations, and as our goal 2, there's been quite a bit of work on that. A lot of it came through our work as a school council on our handbook, which has been dispersed everywhere. Our 3rd goal was our community engagement. We have already had our reading evening. We are about to have our CPAC meeting tomorrow night. I'm very excited about learning about executive functioning from Ms. Peterson, and also getting to do some cookie decorating. Hopefully we'll have many families attending. We have had 2 technology nights with the library, and math will be coming up in February, and then we'll have science in April, and then Social Studies United Arts will be in June. So really excited about a very robust calendar of events for families. And then our final piece is something that we are working with as a staff. Parents in the committee felt very strongly that we needed to be able to support our students in goal setting and decision making. I think that's a really wise direction to take, because I think that independent goal setting and decision making is something that often gets left off of what we do as schools. And so I was excited we included that. As you move through, I included all of our accountability data that I would discuss previously. So I'll slide through that for the moment. And some slides that I had already previously shared around ways that we could look at our data to target interventions for students. And then that leads us to the action steps. Our process for the action steps was a multi-tier system. So what we did was I took the actual 4 goals from the school council to the staff. We had a meeting in May, and at the meeting, the staff worked on 4 different teams and created suggested action steps based off of the goals. I then brought all of the action steps back to the school council. The school council weeded through them, made suggestions, had other ideas. They added ones of their own. In April, we revisited it as a school council again, and they created additional action steps, modified a few other things. And then, August, because that's after May is August there. And then I met with my staff and I presented them a copy of the proposal from the school council. The staff went through those as well, commented on it, made different suggestions or ideas. It then finally went back to school council a final time where they discussed all the proposed ideas and voted on it. And so as a group, this is what they have come up with for action steps included in here. You will note that some of the action steps that they were asking us to take are already well underway as you move through this, but the timelines continue on well past this point.
Could I ask what is the backup so that?
Yep, absolutely.
What is the was it HMH?
HMH, yes, that is the the newest version of the reading program that we already had here. We had this what called Interreading. HMH is the publisher, Harcourt Mifflin, and we had version 2. The grant, Prism grant, got us version 3 with all the new updated technology, which is nice because Harcourt Mifflin has been kind enough to let people know they will discontinue providing support and website technology to version 2 in a relatively short order because they would like everyone to shift their way to version 3.
Thank you.
Yes. And WIN is what I need. Oh, I put that in there. Great. And so all students now this year have 2 blocks of time in their schedule, one for reading and one for math, that specifically targets what they as an individual need. So if you're someone like me that loves math and maybe needs a little extra challenge, you'd be getting something that's, above grade level. And if you are someone like me and who couldn't figure out how to spell her way out of a paper bag most nights, you might be getting a little extra help in how to spell some words during some language time.
Well, I asked the question, and I appreciate the commentary about it, so that the 1,000 people watching us will know
Yes.
that other than just wringing their hands and, we wish the test scores would be better, we wish things were all better. This is an action plan. We're taking steps. You don't know the result till you get down the line, but you're taking steps of action instead of just thinking about what can we do.
Right. We're meeting regularly. We have interventions. We've done a lot of different data collection from those interventions. And then we just last week met again as a staff and did 3 days. We had on our Wednesday PD, we did a review of all of the collected data for the interim, as well as then on Thursday and Friday we had an hour-long meeting for math and an hour-long meeting for reading to create new sets of intervention plans so that kids were put into new groups with varying things. I had a second grade student who went up by 3 levels on the Dibbles. We were very excited for him, and so he and another child in second grade who went up by 2 levels met up with a child who went up by only 1 level, which, by the way, still happy about the 1 level. And they now have a group of 3. They have met at the middle on that one, or met at the high point actually on that one. So we're very excited. So all of that is a piece of that. We'll do that again. We'll collect data at the end of January, and we will meet at the beginning of February. And as a follow-up to that, myself and Special Education Director Amy Langdon met today with our special education teachers to go over their data and the progress that those students are making on their IEPs. And it was an opportunity for us to follow up on the data meetings from last week and from the week before, specifically to special education teachers.
Great, thank you.
And so as you'll see in this is going to go on for quite a few, from pages 8 through 13. We have a lot of action steps. We have a linked literacy plan. It's listed in here. And our goal is to make sure that we are progressing through this in a
Beth, that there was nothing to work from. Usually, I've been a principal and I come in and I have a plan that they were working from, right? So I don't have to reinvent the wheel. And there was not a plan in place.
There was no wheel.
And so Beth has really done a tremendous amount of work, and she has only been here less than a year because she started as the interim, and so this kind of work gets traction. It's very difficult for an interim to get traction on this kind of work, right? But the staff has really worked hard, and it's followed the process as it's supposed to be. It's driven by student data, which she has linked in here. There's, you know, she talks about her data cycles, that those groups are moving, and this is really the way it's supposed to work. And so, I want to give her a shout out. I know it was a lot of work, because they're a lot of work when you have something to work from. But these are all those pieces that you said. Like, these, you have to have a plan to, otherwise you're wringing your hands saying, hope they do better next year, right? Hope they do better next year. And this is a plan about what are the steps. So, monitoring student progress every 6 weeks and then saying, okay, well, what we're doing isn't working. So what are we going to do? That is now, it's part of the system here.
Good.
And so it's documented on here, but it's really in practice in this building right now. So that's a big step.
And I can imagine that might seem hard for some people who have not had to work under this sort of a system. So it's going to take a little while for everybody to feel comfortable with this system. But I think I agree. I'm so happy to see that there's something in place, that there's a plan, that there's a thoughtful, direction that we're going in, and as people get used to it and, understand that this is the way that it's going to be, then, people will feel more comfortable and rise to the occasion.
It really does a disservice to everyone when there's not a plan, right? It's a disservice to students and families, and it's a disservice to our teachers, right? Because there's not then everyone's on an island, right? Like, there should be a plan, somebody supporting me in this work. And so I think that this was a lot of work by a lot of stakeholders. Teachers were very involved in giving their voice, and so I'm excited and very happy to see it in place.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I would also like to just thank the school council, because that also is something that we really have never had. And so people are volunteering their time to come and do this, and this was a lot of work, and definitely a shout out to you, but to the volunteers that are part of that committee. Hopefully that also will become a very permanent structure, and people will be excited about joining that, because they see that it's actually coming to something. It's very frustrating to be on a committee and just feel like you're spinning your wheels. So this is a very tangible thing, and so thank you to all of those people that worked on this.
Very much so.
So we do have the SIP plan and vote under new business, but I don't know if it's appropriate to take a vote now, maybe, or if you want to keep it for then.
I don't have a particular opinion one way or the other. Are people okay with doing it now, or do you want to continue? Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to add on this particular? Okay.
Nope. The only thing actually was what you just said. Actually, I was going to thank the members. It's okay.
I
was just going to thank them. It has been tremendous. They have been, as a group, really committed to being at the meetings and engaging. They sat down and did budget talks with me. They did all of the work around school improvement plan that allowed the teachers to then engage with it in a really productive way. They did an enormous amount of work with the handbook that the teachers had handed off to them, and so it's just been, the collaboration has been tremendous, and I'm very thankful for the members.
And so hopefully this, now that this is, this framework, this skeleton is here, that next year, when you're updating and revising it will be not only easier, but also, we'll have it more towards the beginning of the year. And then we can really go forward with it, complete.
Yes.
And I think it's just so thorough, like, just to keep piggybacking, like, there's so many lines that are already being checked off and filled, and engagement and improvement, and it's like a template, so now you just get to keep doing great again next year.
Are there any other questions on it, or are we feeling ready to vote?
Should I move to approve the school improvement plan?
If you so wish.
I
Second it.
All right. So we have a motion and a second to approve the school improvement plan. Any other discussion about it? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Wonderful. And so please pass along our thanks to the committee
I will most definitely
all
do
of
so.
their work. Okay. And does that conclude your?
It does.
Alrighty.
Yes.
All right, so we have, we're up to the report for the Erving Educational Association. I do not have a report for them unless anybody else does. We'll move on.
No updates.
How about PI? Is there a report for PI? Not seeing any. We're going to move on. Budget and Personnel Committee report. I don't believe we've met, right? Yeah. And Joint Supervisory also. Our next meeting is January 12th. Anything else anybody needs to say about that? Okay. And we do not have any old business, so we're moved on to new business. February, we need to come up with another date because our meeting falls within vacation. So if everybody wants to pull out their calendar, generally we do either the week before or the week after. So the week before is February 10th. The week after is February 24th. I have no preference.
I have a preference. I
Okay.
have the Shutesbury FinCom meeting on the 10th.
On the 10th, okay.
So if-
And it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be a Tuesday. If we need to change the day, we certainly can.
I'm
But
just glad it's not vacation because I won't be around.
oh, absolutely. And to answer your question, February 9th is the date that we meet with the select board and FinCom for our budget. So the 10th is out. We can either move to the 24th or we can move to some other day, either that week or the skip a week in the following week.
24th of February works for me.
Works for me, I think.
Mark, are you okay?
Yep, no problem. I'm not scheduling that far out yet.
It is helpful to have a preliminary vote on the budget before we bring it to the FinCom and Select Board. In previous years, sometimes it's done at a school committee meeting that's held before the Select Board FinCom meeting, since we're all together anyway.
Yep.
Just giving you that as an option.
So that would be the 9th. We would, to Caitlin, what Caitlin's saying is that we could have a meeting before we meet with them on I say 7, but it's not exactly 7 that we meet with them, but, so we could have it before that, or we could vote on it, at the January meeting, or have a meeting in between. Does that make sense to everybody?
Not quite. I didn't follow that.
Sure. So what Caitlin's saying is we usually have a meeting to finalize the budget and formally vote on it.
Right.
Right.
We do.
And since we have our January meeting on the 20th.
Right.
At that point we could do that, or we could have a meeting before our joint meeting on the 9th. So like at say 6:00 or 5:30 or something like that, and vote in at that point. Or we could have a additional school committee meeting sometime between January 20th and February 9th to vote the budget.
I feel like it would just make sense to vote the budget at the 20th meeting in January. Or does that not normally work, as I am the newest person?
No, there isn't necessarily a norm. It's whatever works for the committee at the time.
So you could put it on the agenda for the January of possible vote, and if you don't have a vote, then you could schedule a meeting in between.
Yep, we can do that. Again, we can, a meeting needs to have just 48 hours notice, so we can easily pull that together as well.
January meeting.
January meeting, shoot to vote?
Yeah.
Okay, so we would need a hearing before that, a budget hearing meeting before that. So which still brings us back to our February date. So do we want to have the meeting on the 9th before our select board, our joint meeting? Do we want to have it on the 24th, or do we want to have it on a separate, a random other day?
I think a 24th would be fine.
24th? Dan, do you have a thought?
Okay.
Okay. All right. So we're going to move our next our February meeting to February 24th, same time, same place, just February 24th. And we will have on our January agenda for a vote and have a scheduled budget hearing before that.
That's the 12th?
Um,
No, 20th.
the 20th is our regular meeting, but we have to have a budget hearing before that. It's got to go out in the public, and so have an opportunity to ask any or speak about the budget. So we'll have to think about that date, of what that date will be. We don't have to decide that right this second necessarily, but yeah. So we'll circle back to that at some point. Okay, so we voted on our school improvement plan. STARS update.
So the STARS program has been in operation now for almost a full year. We have 2 students that are a part of the STARS program completely. One we tuition in from Leverett, and one is an Erving resident student. There's also another student who is currently accessing STARS for a period of time. So the student is able to be more fully integrated into the general ed classroom and just comes into the STARS program for some specific times when that is appropriate. We have another student here at Erving that we are meeting about in the next couple of weeks that may be the protocol for that student as well. So right now we're at 3 Erving students accessing the program and 1 tuition in student. I've reached out to all of the area special education directors. I know Shannon's reached out to the superintendents to say that we have openings in this program. We haven't heard anything. I think that a lot of people are facing budget issues and are trying to prevent out of district placements as much as they can. And so I think they're trying to grow in-house programs as much as possible. And a lot of places already have their own programs, so they're not looking outward right now.
Can I just ask before you move on?
Sure.
So when you're reaching out to the area districts, are you sharing with them what the tuition cost is at the
I haven't.
in that same conversation?
No, I haven't shared the tuition costs. I've shared with them the program outline. I've shared with them the sort of our not criteria but our process for accepting students, but I haven't said anything about tuition when I have reached out. Only because it hasn't been in the documents that I've sent. But
I wonder if that would make a difference, because I do believe we are less expensive, right, than some of the other programs around.
Yeah, I can try that as well.
And that, not that I'm necessarily looking to undercut anybody or in any way. I just wonder if that would make a difference to people.
Yeah.
If they because of budget crunches.
Sure.
If they understand that we have a high quality product at a much more reasonable price.
Yeah, I can try that and see if that garners any attention. I think that what's going on in day to day in the program is really exciting. I think we've got we have students that are making progress, and we've got our special education teacher that's working there that is really looking at what each student needs in terms of academic support, and really focusing on that. We've got the BCBA that works in there and really working on the behavioral side of support. So it's a program that's moving along and expanding in terms of service to students that are in Erving already, and so that's been really, I think, exciting in that we have been able to sort of offer that additional service without having kids have to completely come into a separate program, which is always our goal. So sort of using the benefits of that program, but without the full removal from the general ed classroom.
And can you just remind us what the staffing looks like in that room? It's obviously there's a teacher.
Yeah, so the special education teacher and BCBA both sort of split the time, and the special education teacher is working more on academics, and the BCBA is working more on the behavioral and ABA kind of side of things. So they really do a really nice job of splitting that time, and when they're not in the classroom, they're doing other things within the school building, and it really functions like a team approach. Then there's 2 paraprofessionals that are in there, each with one of the 2 full-time students, and then when another student comes in, depending on what's happening in the room, sometimes a para will go with the student, and sometimes there's enough coverage in the classroom for a para to not need to accompany that student when they're coming in and out. So right now it's a teacher BCBA sort of split, and an RBT and a paraprofessional in the classroom full time, and then the speech person goes in to support, OT person goes in to support, and we're working on the school counselor talking about whether or not we do like a counseling group, but some of those kids do come out for counseling services.
So the teacher in that room isn't in that room all the time.
Right.
They've split their time between some other role.
Yeah.
Or some other, place.
Yeah.
Not role, but.
Pre-K and kindergarten
Yeah.
are the 2 other grades that teacher works with.
Yep. So that special ed teacher works with STARS, pre-K, and kindergarten, and then the BCBA is free to work with, multiple different students, and she does. Are there any other specific questions that folks have about the STARS program?
I agree with Mackenzie that other places have budget crunches too. And they may find that if we have a program that meets their needs for somewhat less cost, they may be of interest to them on a financial point of view.
Sure.
But keeping in mind what's best for students also.
Absolutely.
My understanding that the cost to taxpayers here is not a lot or much or nothing, or how is that?
Yeah, so in terms of the cost to run the program, we haven't had to hire any additional staff to be able to be in this program, except for the paraprofessional that works with the student who is from the other district, and that we pay for through that revolving account that Caitlin spoke of earlier. So there's not any additional staff that has been hired for this program. We were able to work within what we already offered here in Erving to be able to make this program work. I think that a lot of time and resources were already being spent on those students. And so focusing them in one area into a classroom that can better meet their needs is really sort of what we did. So instead of splitting those people up to, sort of help kids all over the place, we sort of consolidated it. So we haven't had to add any additional staff other than, like I said, the person who works with the other student.
I thought that was the answer you were going to give me. I'm pleased to hear it, but again, for the 1,000 people watching,
That's right.
Which they should be. It's their tax money. They should be watching to see what we're doing with their money.
Right.
And for the students currently enrolled, best for the students at little or no cost to taxpayers, but also we don't know what students are going to come in the door tomorrow. And if we have a functioning program in place that works at little or no cost and it meets the needs of our students, instead of loading them onto a bus and sending them somewhere else for a couple $100,000,
Yeah.
it's just a wonderful thing to have in place, I believe. So thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I do think that was, certainly there's a financial lens to it, right? And that's the reality. But this is truly, it's a good educational model. It keeps students getting their needs met in their home school or in relative proximity. And that just helps them stay connected to their communities. And so, we have students in other union schools who have different needs, but they're spending, one student's, going towards, the Worcester area, and that's not his community. And so that's always a win to keep students connected. And the majority of these students are urban residents, so that's that's a plus too, that we're meeting their needs and keeping them in their school.
Win-win-win all around.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's particularly nice for the students who are not in full-time that they have that resource, because then they're able to be successful in their general education setting with their on-age peers, and to experience the majority of their day there and just go in to get little snippets of time and support that allow them to be learning and to be growing, but not to be isolated, which I think is wonderful.
And the STARS program is in a specific classroom?
Yes.
They have their own classroom, their own space?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, do other students get integrated in so that they are with general
They
public?
come out.
They do go into other classes.
Yes.
So they are in a group setting for
Yeah,
for a
we don't
portion of the
have
day.
kids pushing into that location. We have kids coming out of that, and they go to their grade level. They go to lunch, to specials, to recess. So just to a variety of things that, was doing a read aloud, or they're doing a project, things like that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Before we move on to the break, I just, I thought of it, Dan, when you were talking about the financial piece. And we do have some school choice students. Is that school choice money designated anywhere?
No, so we don't know what. So school choice we always get the year after. So once we have an idea of what that's going to be for next year, we can decide how much we're going to use of it, or if we're going to use it, if we want to put it aside and build our school choice revolving fund.
Well, we will know for next year because it's based on this year's students, right?
Yes, but it's not a standard $5,000 per student. There are some. I mean, I don't know the needs of the students, so it's not a flat rate all the time if there's any additional services. So we're waiting, and it should be soon, to see what the state tells us we'll be receiving in school choice.
But it's a minimum of the $5,000,
Yes.
right? So we could, at least based on the minimum, know how much money we are going to receive next year on school choice.
Yes.
But right now, that's not designated anywhere. Is that
It
what
is
you're
not
saying?
designated anywhere.
Okay, so it'll just go into a revolving account?
Mm-hmm.
I see.
And school choice funds have to be voted on by the school committee, correct, to use?
Excuse me?
When we budget for them, we say, here's how much we're going to use for next year. I don't think if we use additional, it has to be voted on by the school committee, but some school committees do appreciate when we say, hey, we'd like to, make this one-time purchase
Okay.
and we'll bring it to the meeting outside of what we
And we should
budget
have
for.
that figure
when the
relatively
cherry
soon?
sheets come out.
Yeah, okay.
But again, not to, we can at least do the minimum, and we have X
Right.
number of students times
Right.
$5,000. We will have that number. It may go up, but at least it will be that.
Yep.
So we could incorporate that into our budget, into our fiscal 26 budget,
27. Yes.
27
Yeah,
budget.
yeah.
We
Yeah.
can, but we should probably add that as a discussion of, do you want to in the first year that you're receiving it? Because right now we don't have the account. We'll start the year with not having any money in it, and we'll get payments from the state through the year. We probably would have a conversation about maybe we leave that fund alone for a year, let it build, and
And
decide
then
what to do
you
with
can
it
draw
further.
on something that has funds in it.
Yes.
Well, when will the funds actually be paid for this current year's students? Will get paid
Next year.
Next
yes, but when next year? Like when?
It's monthly.
Oh, so it's not a lump sum. It's they pay it out monthly based on last year's numbers.
Yes.
I see. Okay. Okay, so up next is the bright update discussion and possible vote. So this is stemming from the fact that it was in the budget, and then there was that was a little surprising to us. So then we kind of halted that and said we wanted to have a little bit more of a discussion about that. Does anyone here have more information that they want to share before we
So, well, you went last time and were able to see it and know the philosophy, so I won't speak to that. I did get updated data around how many students are using it. And so we have about 14% of our students in this building are accessing that program daily. 14 students, you have about 100 students, so I'm doing rough math there. And that, obviously some are accessing it for more, right? Needs vary, are accessing it for longer parts of the day. And other students are accessing it at regular intervals. And Beth, you can probably speak more to that. But 14 students are currently accessing Bright as part of their daily supports. Is that accurate?
So of that, I'd say we have 4 that have a very concrete, regular schedule through the course of every day. We also have another 4 that I think are time specific, so they're coming in once a day or twice a day for a time that they've identified with the teacher and the family that is just a hard time for that particular child. And so it's an easy way for us to, and the topics range. So sometimes when you've got a kid coming in, they're coming in for a break. They've been working, and this is an opportunity for them to take a few minutes and to reprocess. And while they're taking that break, they're getting a work with the counselor, or they're getting work with a Bright teacher. And then there are other kids that are going in with work. They're because they're a little overwhelmed by the noise level in a classroom, and they get distracted easily, and so they'll be in the classroom for the main portion of the instruction. And one of the accommodations that we've talked about on their individual plans is the idea that they're going to take the work that they would normally be doing in the classroom independently and take it down to that location, and they're going to get some, if they need, some support from the classroom teacher in there, but if not, they're going to work independently in there. And so it's just a big nice piece. We also have kids that are coming in groups. So we have a weekly group, a boys group that goes in and does some social stuff and some decision making. They love it because it is, as they put it, the first time that they get to feel like their voices are being heard. I think one of the boys specifically said it's nice that the girls aren't dominating everything and we boys get to be heard. So I thought it was kind of interesting. But the,
no
so
man ever.
So I think that the nice piece of it is that it's really it's viewed as a very safe space for kids, and a lot of them will just request to take a few minutes, and then that minimizes the amount of out of class time, the amount of disruption time, and certainly the behaviors building wide, which I think is the biggest piece for me, is that I want kids to be in class. We had a child who was regularly accessing it last year, and he is almost exclusive. I'd say 90% of his day is in the classroom this year, which to me is an unbelievable win, and it would not be possible without the Bright program. To go from almost full push out, where he was in a separate setting last year, to a 90-10 split of being in the classroom is a magnificent improvement for the student, and he is accessing learning. He's one of those students who is, he also made 3 jumps in growth and is now just 1 level behind grade level on reading. So we are in a great position to transition him onto grade level before the end of the year. So I'm hoping to see that happen quickly.
And I will say too, in addition, I think there's at least 2 of those students that access it on a regular basis who would have probably been talking about an out-of-district placement for. The level of need that they had was very high. And I think we would have been definitely looking at adding a lot of additional supports, if not a different placement for them. So I think that that's another bonus, is we're keeping students in our building and we're being successful with them. It's not just babysitting, we're being very successful with them.
And so if I remember correctly, part of the brightness of it was this company that came and provided some technology for data collection and other things, as well as that I don't know her I don't know her position, but a person
Yeah.
to help
Consultant.
a
Yeah.
consultant. And so moving forward, are we stripping that back and just in-housing it?
So, well, that will be a discussion. So the cost to remain, so the grant was funded, right, that it's, as most grants are, right, they want you to build your capacity to sustain it yourself. So they fully fund it the first year. This year it was a reduction in fund, and some is built into our budget. Next year, the fund for the ongoing consultation, I think, is $1,000. I think that's right. For access to the Bright consultant if you need them, but it's a reduced, right? They've helped you set up the program, so now you're really running it internally. And so that is the cost of the teacher and the adjustment counselor, who were already in this budget before. The adjustment counselor was a posted position for several years that went unfilled, is my understanding. And so that is part of what that program is now.
So we will be running it completely on our own without any expenditure, not next year, but the year after.
So the $1,000 will cover the access to the computer programming
And the data collection.
and data collection as
For
well as
next
some-
year.
And any year that we pay that $1,000. So
Okay,
it'd be
but
next
we'll-
year we could keep using the technology after that if we wanted to.
And so I
Instead
think
of
that was
our
part of
own.
my question was, do we need that piece of technology? Can we not collect our data on our own? Is the data we're collecting, I mean, it's 14 students, is it not something that we can in-house collect our own data on 14 students?
I would say they
Is-
have a program that is already built that is very friendly, that will give you, so you put in the data and it will give you the outcomes. It's for $1,000, it's probably worth the time to keep what we're already using than to have somebody have to recreate that. That would be my thought as the superintendent, that would be a good allocation of professional development money for that $1,000 to keep that data collection system and that program, rather than having to create that.
But what are we doing with that data? Is it helping us in some way? Like what is the purpose of that data? What is it being used for? What is
It's
it?
being used to as a data collection tool to develop student education plans,
Yeah.
to determine if our accommodations and modifications, are they impactful?
When we meet with parents, they're getting, so the other
get
piece of the
reports.
puzzle is that the parents who, and not all parents, but a chunk of the 14 children's parents get met with on an either every other week basis or monthly basis. Sometimes the topic of that meeting is something specific, but sometimes the topic of that meeting is, here's the data and here's what we've been collecting and the progress your child is making and the frequency with which we're seeing them and the reasons why we're seeing them. And those charts do make it really digestible and easy to follow for anyone participating in those meetings.
So the teacher and the BCBA, adjustment counselor, they're collecting this data. They're inputting
Through
the
the
data.
course of the day, every day they collect data, and the school adjustment counselor obviously has a variety of other things that she's doing across the entire building. She's not exclusively in that room.
Sure.
But they are collecting that data each day. They're spending a couple of minutes making sure they're keeping it up to date in the computer program. And they're running the reports for both me and I actually have a weekly meeting with them on Friday mornings, and we go over progress students are making. We go over interventions that we're going to be trying moving forward for the kids who are a part of this. And we also talk about any children who might not currently be accessing the program, but who would really benefit from it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's the $1,000 program. And so then the rest of the cost that had been put into the budget that that triggered this conversation was backfilling the salaries of those two people that are in that program.
So it's $12,000, and for this year we have $12,000 coming from Bright Grant that goes towards the salary of the adjustment counselor. So the budget that we've been working off of for next year, that $12,000 is rolled into the operating budget.
And I think so. This is a perfect example of what we were just talking about, how to have it noted on the budget, so that we knew that once break went away, we would have to backfill $12,000 to have that
Yeah.
designated on there.
Is this the 403 line again? I'm sorry.
No, well, this is in, I think your point about, it is in the budget under Bright, and it's pretty clear about what it is, but to your point, putting it also in the line item
Yeah.
so that when you refer.
Yeah. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
No, I'm just going back to the initial discussions about it, and I'm wondering if the report that comes off the data that they're collecting is showing up in the school improvement plan. You know, how many kids are doing. Also, I'm wondering what the number of kids you tell me are accessing the program. I hate to do it the other way, but I mean, what's the how many of them are full? How many of them are once? How many? What's the actual contact time that's going on there?
Got it. And we can use those reports in the computer system to pull all of that data.
Yeah, I would.
Yes.
And
I would guess the nature of the needs of those students, that there's probably some, as she said, like, there's 4, exactly, this is, there, and then there's another 4 that are semi-predictable.
Right.
But my guess is, and you can speak, the other 6 or 7 could be depending on a number of variables that aren't necessarily predictable, right? These are kids who need some supports, additional supports to be successful in 3rd grade or 4th, whatever grade it is, but some days may need far more support than other days, if that makes
And the student I referenced that had literally flipped his schedule. He went from 90 in and 10 out to 90 out and 10 in.
mm-hmm.
That to me is the biggest success of this program. Sure. But it's also like the 10 portion of his day is very erratic. He could be coming in the door in the morning and needing that time to get settled before he goes to class. He could be coming in great and going right to class, and then at the end of the day just kind of reaching the cap of what he's able to do and needing some time at the end of the day to talk through what's going on with someone and to be given the support that he needs then. There are times when it's lunchtime and recess and headed into that window because he doesn't have an active plan about how he wants to spend his recess. And sometimes for kids who struggle, not having a plan in place can make it that much more difficult. I know you know that.
And what I'm thinking back to is when the proposal was originally being discussed. One of my thoughts was that it's nice to have this packaged program coming in with these parameters and this backup support and so on. But there's been programs like this going on forever. And I mean, there were home-built programs exactly like this here in this building some years ago, according to other people that I've talked to. So to me, it was like, well, sure, let's do it because this kind of program works. And I'm just wondering, at what point is this no longer bright and this is the norm for our school?
I'm going to say whether we're calling it bright or not, the success of this program is entirely based on the adults who are working the program and who are collaborating regularly with the staff. I mean, they hold weekly consultation meetings with the grade level teachers, and that allows them to be both offering advice and support and also pushing in the classroom. And so I think we're at a point, or pretty close to a point, where we could call it really literally anything I wanted to, and it wouldn't matter because it's the 2 adults who spends her day there and the other one who spends a portion of her day there, that are really genuinely making this program function. And it's the paraprofessionals throughout this building who are fluidly supporting kids in and out and as they move through their day. So I think you've referenced a really, very, very valid point.
So
And I think other than the data collection tool, it will be a completely Erving program,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Because
if it ever
you're-
became completely ours and we decided to change its name, let's choose something other than, a bright object or a celestial.
Got it.
A celestial thing.
We need to find a way to,
So there's some distinction, but I it sounds wonderful.
So with that in mind, going back to the budget then, when we look at, so we have to absorb the school adjustment counselor, correct? Or the,
Yeah, and that's always been a position that's been in our budget, but when we had a new hire, which came in higher than we had budgeted just based on the salary scale, and Lindsay Rodriguez went back to Bright and said, could we get some support and funding because we're hiring someone that is a little more expensive than we've had budgeted in the past. And they said sure, and so they gave us this little bit of money to cover the excess, and we're not going to have that excess, but we've always had this position.
and so as Kelly was saying, that's in that therapeutic line.
Yes.
So that part of what's made that line increase,
Yeah,
Would
part of
be
the
the
increase is
12,000.
the 12,000. So the cost of the teacher in that room has already been budgeted in to that line.
Yes.
To our classroom teacher line.
Yep.
Is it the classroom teacher line or
Therapeutic
is it?
services.
Sorry.
Therapeutic services. The classroom teacher was never covered by any Bright funding.
It's under therapeutic services.
Yes.
The adjustment counselor.
Yes.
Yeah, but the teacher is covered under special education or classroom teacher.
No, she's not a special education. This program is not a special education program.
So it's
She's not a
classroom,
classroom
teacher line. So line 34.
Yes.
Okay. And so then this is not then the experiential, I can't say that word, learning program.
No, it's
That's
not.
something different.
Yes.
And what is, can you just quickly tell me what that is?
Experiential learning is any sort of outside programs that we bring in to augment what we're doing. A good example is in January we're going to be having the inflatable planetarium come, and the kids are going to be getting an opportunity to do some of the space science standards for Massachusetts, literally in the planetarium, and that'll cover actually from pre-K straight up through grade 6. And the nicest thing about it is they're also going to be giving us supplemental materials about the night sky to match up with our science night in April, bless you, so that when we have our science night in April, any families that come will be able to get a supplemental packet so they can go outside that night and look at the sky, and they can talk with their child about the night sky. So I am very excited about that. I think,
If you know New England,
Yes.
any night something is happening in the sky. It is cloudy, overcast, raining, or something.
You're not wrong.
True.
It is.
This
You're
is
not
true.
wrong.
As a long-time
Yep.
astronomy observer, I just can't get over it. I mean,
Yeah.
This
here
past
comes the
weekend-
meteorites. It's going to rain.
Well, this past weekend, it was the snow clouds had come in, and we were supposed to have the
Yes, the meteor shower.
yes. I was really upset about that.
Okay.
I just expected.
So things like that are a part of it. We use some of that money for field trips that we send kids to. When we send many of our grades to Jaduke to see plays. We send our 6th grade a portion of it goes to our 6th grade so that they can go see a play in New York City. It's about augmenting experiences here.
Okay, different than the field trips and programs line, which is line 53.
Yes. Because it's not to me, a field trip is, I'm going to go to the Sturbridge Village for the day. It's not like these experiential learning is supposed to be an actual curriculum-based opportunity. So particularly to the science one, we're having the inflatable globe. The science standards are going to be spoken about. It's going to be embedded in the classroom leading up to it. It's going to be followed up in the classroom post-haste afterward. So it's not a one-off. To me, a field trip is almost a one-off. It's, we're going to go do something. It happened. Great. These are supposed to be actual curriculum.
Sometimes there's overlap.
That's coming in from MCAS scores not doing well in the
Yeah,
science
we
one,
didn't
trying
know
to
a
push
lot about the
science.
night sky and the moon last year.
And that was heavy on
We knew
MCAS.
more than the state did, which is
Really?
great. I was
Wow.
excited that we were higher than the state average, but we still need to learn more about science, and so this is a good opportunity for us to do that. And that's the most concrete example that I have.
Okay. And so we veered off onto something else. I just didn't know if those two things were related or not, but they are not related. So that answered my question about the break program. And so then finally, where is the $1,000 being for this program? Where is that noted in here?
We haven't added it into anything. We felt like some of the lines could absorb it.
Okay.
Looks like the tech line.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Isn't the tech line already jumping? What do you do next?
I'm not sure which one the tech line is. I don't know the number.
Technology maintenance and supplies. Is that right?
So those are the technology maintenance and supplies line is under our plants and operations. It's more of those group of lines are for more of keeping the building technology going. They're not linked to anything in instructional or student based. So the lines for technology that are student based are in the instruction category. Like instructional technology materials. Line 54.
And so we think that's absorbable.
Yes, I think we increased that line by
I think so.
$1,000 but I don't remember if it was linked to this or something else, some other
Right.
reason why we needed to.
I'm also.
Okay.
I'd just like to say this and all the budget discussions is good. It's a good thing that we're having the discussion so we, on behalf of taxpayers, know what everybody's doing with their money
Agreed.
and where it is and whatever, where it's being shuffled. But it's also good, in my opinion, that when all the dust settles, we're still at around the 2.5% level where we need to be. We're not asking for big increases in our budget. So how you've accomplished all that is a miracle. But thank you. Okay.
All right. Is there any other discussion or questions about the break program? So, what we need to do is decide if we're going to continue with this program because it's a change to our current setup with the fact that we don't get the grant money anymore. So now we're going to own this program, and so that's why the possible vote was there. Added to the discussion that we had last time about, we had said right from the beginning that we were going to have a discussion a couple years in to see if this was fitting our needs and something that we wanted to continue with. So that's where we're at timeline wise.
So are you suggesting that we need to have a vote tonight regarding whether we're continuing this?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I would move that we continue the Bright program as it is currently evolving and being conducted.
I'd second that.
I say evolving, well,
You want to what do you?
okay, I'm saying evolving because we're talking about, reducing and reallocating different parts of it in different places, but we're basically keeping the program as it is in place, but some of the budgeting stuff is being shuffled about and getting to be less and so forth. Does that make sense?
I think I understand the spirit of what you're saying. Yes.
Oh,
Okay. We feel good about that, and you've seconded it.
Yeah, I second it, and,
Moving forward with the program.
this discussion, if it's $1,000, and one of the main things is, an alternative is we could try to patch together some kind of statistics of our own. I think having the program in place that works is a valuable thing.
Yeah. I just want to clarify. It's actually, 12,000. We're putting 12,000 back into our budget because we've got to cover the grant money.
staff, yes.
And then we're absorbing the $1,000 within our budget. So, yeah, for the staffing. Right. Okay. Just want to make sure that was clear.
But
Okay.
this is not an increase of 12,000 that'll take the 2.5 and throw it out the window.
No, it's in that.
Right. You're right.
Thought so.
Right.
So be
It's
clear
been built in.
about that. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. So all in favor of continuing with the break program?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Moving on. Our next big discussion point is the Gil Montague tuition agreement. So we've been talking quite a bit about this. It kind of increased because of the discussions about Pioneer and Gil Montague potentially becoming a region, the two of them. But independent of that, I think it's important that we look at this tuition agreement. In fact, others that I was speaking to at this conference were just really surprised that there was no end date. Typically, contracts go for a certain amount of years, and then you re-up them, renegotiate, look at it. And I just said, no, ours has been there since like the 80s.
1980.
That's crazy that we have not looked at it. So for no other reason than that, we should be looking at this tuition agreement, and in order to do that in a thoughtful way, we should create a subcommittee. And who should be on the subcommittee, how we decide that subcommittee is something that this board should decide, but that would be the avenue that we would take. So the subcommittee would meet, you would have to post the meetings, you would have to take meeting minutes, and it would be an advisory subcommittee, such that the committee would not be making any decisions. They would be gathering information, having discussions, and then bringing that back to the full board to have the discussion, and the full board would be voting on any actions that were going to be taken. So that is kind of a quick overview of what we would be looking for if we so chose to do a subcommittee. I would like to suggest that we have this subcommittee, and we think about now who will be on it, who in the sense of what roles will be on this subcommittee. And so I'm happy to take suggestions and thoughts about that.
Do we need a motion to create first?
Well, I would.
You want to have the discussion first?
I was hoping to kind of have that vote all at once, like the discussion of having it and who's going to be on it. But if you feel more comfortable,
No. I just
we can do that too.
I was thinking about Roberts.
I know. I like to call him Bobby. We're flexible here.
Yes, we are.
So if that's okay with all of you, I'd like to kind of have that as a bigger discussion. But if people want to take a step at a time, I'm open to that too.
No, really, I can start talking. I don't care.
Okay, go for it.
I would like to see that there's a representation, significant representation by parents of students, or some avenue through the school. The sense I have is that there's a momentum to keep kids going to Gil Montague, but it may be that that's not possible, or that there is some other things going on. I actually don't think there's going to be. I don't think they're going to be consolidation's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. It may happen, in which case we have to renegotiate the contract with a different body. In which case we have to wait, and when that's But I honestly say, it sounds to me also that Northfield is working really hard to, or not hard, but they're working to make themselves an alternative, and so that other people might send their kids there. In which case we'd want to say, well, where do parents want to send their kids? I mean, I don't have any students in this district, so in a sense, I don't have a lot in the a lot of irons in the fire, whatever there's another expression.
Skin in the game.
Yes, that's it. So I don't have any real skin in the game, but people I've talked to who do, they have some biases based on where they've been going since 1980.
So currently 48 of the 100 students attend Gil Montague. Of the 100 secondary, 48 of them.
Right.
31 attend Franklin Tech. So that's
Well-
the bulk. And then you have a couple, 2 at Northfield, 2 in Greenfield. So
Yeah, well, I think the
One
problem
at Four
with
Rivers.
the thing is, no matter where they went, no matter what happened, the Franklin Tech would still be an option and a
Right.
percent going out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
The question is, what do they do for
Middle school.
7 and 8?
Right.
And and we don't know what 7 and 8's going to look like. What the options are going to be. I mean, if the two schools combine, then we just have to negotiate a new contract. Yeah,
So from what I've heard on the regionalization plan, and it did come up, that Erving's contract will not change well in those meetings. So like they're still withholding on to our long-term couple years ago current. But I agree that the thousands of listeners that are parents should be willing to step up and, as a parent, want to have stake in where the children are going. And I think the subcommittee is very important for some of us, as well as those parents who have opinions or don't have opinions. Everybody should be wanting to say where they think. And I also think a huge factor will be coming in is monetarily. Our current contract is we pay Turners this much for taking our 7th graders and 8th graders, but what are we going to get if we send them to Marha? Or how much is it going to be if we send them to Pioneer if the redistricting doesn't happen? So I think monetarily, it's at the point where, 30-ish, 40 years ago, what that looked like then could look very different now. And I think it's very important for us to form the subcommittee and look at a big part of that being the financial logistic portion of that, and how would it benefit Erving if we changed our contract to a new district, whether or not the redistricting happens or not happen. I think that's very important for the subcommittee.
Yeah, I agree, and I think that's what we can charge the subcommittee with looking at.
Yeah.
All
those
of these different
things,
things. But let's narrow our focus for the moment on the actual makeup of the subcommittee. So, school committee members, how many? It sounds like parents are obviously a stakeholder. So how many? Townspeople in general, do we want them? How many? Do we want, administration to be there? If so, who? Or, what role? Do we want other town, department, somebody from the town hall or something like that? Though that's what I think, that's what we need to be talking about right now, is just let's get that done, and then we can go from there as far as what we're going to ask them to do, what we're going to look for them to give us information on.
Something I don't know the answer to, so I'll ask, and I'm sure the answer can be found. If we were to have one school committee member and a staff member from the superintendent's or whoever else could need to be in the town hall, a couple parents, whatever it might be, might they be able to meet and not have these posting requirements?
No, because they're an advisory to the larger committee,
Okay.
so it has to be a formal posted meeting, obviously open meeting, and then with
Okay.
minutes, and then
Okay.
does not
Darn.
violate the open meeting law.
Okay.
It's
That's
just
fine.
an extra hoop. I know. I did research that just to be sure that we were
Okay.
following the rules correctly, and so yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm all for following the rules. It's easier to stay out of trouble than get out of trouble. And it's just to make it easier for sometimes parents and people can get together without such hoops to jump through. We'll say.
I mean, but you
But-
certainly could do, the meeting could be virtual if that's easier, as long as they're posted and somebody's taking the minutes. Those are the two requirements. They don't have to be here. They can meet it off campus somewhere. They could be virtual. They could, whatever fits the needs of the committee. But just somebody's got to be taking notes, and it has to be posted. And obviously, open meeting. Anybody
I
to
do think
attend.
it's wise, my opinion, wise to have such a committee formed I'm not sure who should be on it, but to form such a committee, and we keep referring to the people watching, I just like to clearly state, this is absolutely not the school committee trying to go somewhere else with all of our students. That's not it. After 45 years, it's just good business, due diligence to look at what you've got and see is there something better for the town, the students, all around, or not.
Well, it also is a case of if we have to do something different, what do the parents want?
Yeah.
Because it's very possible that what will come out of the redistricting or the consolidation discussion is something different. I mean, it may change all the possibilities, and in a way that we can't continue what we're doing. I honestly think that's the most likely thing. We will be confronted with something different than what we have now.
So that being said, I'm going to ask again for us to narrow back down into what do we want the makeup of the subcommittee to look like. Again, because it has to be a posted meeting, we can have more than one school committee member on it. I personally, I think clearly we need to have parents on it, so I'd like to see 2 parents ideally. You don't want a committee of 15 also, so keeping it manageable. If we have 2 school committee members on it, it's helpful in case one school committee member could not be there. At least the other person is there to listen. So I look to 2 to be just a nice number, because then you have in case somebody can't be there, somebody else can still gather some information.
So I'm feeling like, just number wise, to put a number out there, 2 committee members, 2 staff members, or
2 parents.
I was thinking 2 to 6 town/parents. I know that's a big ask of our thousands of people listening. 2 to 6 parents or town folk that have interest in what our finances are being spent on and where the children of our town are going. And then for staff, whether that be Erving staff or district staff. I mean, it's 6 to 10-ish people, but
It's getting big.
That's a big committee.
is
Yeah.
it a big committee? I
Yeah.
don't know. I sit in these CS board meetings and there's like 40 of us, and I'm like,
I don't think you get
That's
that.
because there's so many
we don't have
towns,
that.
but
We won't get that out of our town.
I do like the makeup of that. I wonder if you say 2 school committee members, 2 parents, 2 maybe an at-large community member,
Yeah.
and then either a select board or someone from the town offices.
I mean, we do have a liaison to the select board from the school committee, so that might be the person we might want to pull in from the select board is our school committee liaison. Yeah.
Who is that right now?
Hang on. It is Jim Loyne, I believe, is still our liaison. I was
For
trying to think if
another-
it was Bill or
for
Jim.
another
I think
couple
it's
of
Jim
months.
still. Yeah, is that what you think too? Okay, I'm pretty sure that's still our liaison. We can
Perfect.
always confirm that. But
I would like to see that the parents were from the upper grades, so that they have the, sort of like they're looking at the possibilities of something coming down.
or it could be parents of already there. No, I get what you're saying.
yeah, I mean, I think it's a parent who wants to be involved.
Yeah.
If they only have a preschooler, they're eventually
All
going to
for
get
it.
that old. So
True.
They will.
happens quick. So where are we at? We've got 2 school committee, 2 towns, 2 parents, a community member, and hopefully our liaison to the select board. Am I up to 6?
Yes.
6.
Okay. I think that's a pretty manageable number.
Sure.
I do think at some point, either the superintendent or even Caitlin should be looped in, but that can come down the line a little bit, or
I feel like there would be a lot of
or be
questions
right
to
now,
make.
whatever
We wouldn't be members of the committee,
But we could come to
but we
Yeah.
can come to any meetings that
Yeah.
you need us at. And same thing for teachers, not being Erving residents, especially, they wouldn't be able to be probably members of the committee.
True.
And there'll be public meetings, so they can certainly go.
Yeah. And you may want to even invite them to
Right, right.
attend,
Yeah.
so that they know about it and feel welcome. I was looking at you, but I mean whomever's on the committee. But yeah, I think 5, 6, 7, like that's probably as big as we want to go. Other than having these other extra people come for various reasons, how does that feel to people?
Sounds good. I'm trying to think of ways to. We need to get another person on our board. You know, we have one empty slot right now,
We do.
and it would be really good to recruit somebody, and maybe there's somebody that's interested in this to move forward. My other thinking is it'd be good to wait till past the holidays before we set it up.
I think logistically that's probably, yeah.
Yeah, we wouldn't want
Yeah.
to do it now. We wouldn't want to. I
Yeah.
would wait until January
Sure.
or February.
It's going to
Yeah.
take us that long to just even, put the word out. And
Yeah, and
have
getting the
people get
word
back
out, I
and-
think it'd be important to notify the newspaper or somebody else that would get some people out. We
we can put it in the newsletter. I think we're slightly past the deadline, but we might be able to squeeze it in for January.
in the
In the news-
round town.
Yeah.
What's today's date? Yeah, we're past the deadline, but
We are, but
not much.
we might be able to
They're pretty flexible.
if we can get it soon. Okay, so I'm thinking let's make the motion to create the subcommittee with those positions, and then we'll move forward with putting the word out and advertising. How do
So
people
I
feel
move
about
that we form a subcommittee to look into the question of
secondary.
secondary education for Erving Elementary students,
With
And-
the following positions.
with 2 school committee members,
Mm-hmm.
one person from the. You've written it down.
I did.
Write it.
2 school
Read
committee
it.
members, 2 parents, 1 from the community, and 1 being our liaison, hopefully, between us and the select board.
I don't make it. Hopefully, Jim. Force Jim to do it.
I see him every day. I will twist his arm.
So do not every day.
Does that encompass your motion?
Yes.
I
Okay.
second your motion.
All right. Any other discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
All right. So we will move forward with that. Thank you.
Sorry,
So
Kelly, could you repeat the last 2 members? So we got
Yes.
2 parents, 2 SPSC members, and then a liaison to.
The
school committee.
liaison to our school committee from our select board is 1, and then the other one is somebody from our school community.
our town.
Town
Town
community?
community.
Town
Really?
community. I said community, so.
Okay. So knowing that, we need 2 school committee members.
I would love to do it.
Excellent. One more spot.
I've played this game before. You remember that?
Could I nominate Mark? I say that for a couple of reasons. I do have a few irons in the fire, but we all do. It's election coming up. The term I've got is 1 year. I don't know if I'll be elected again or not, or how that'll go.
I'm feeling confident.
Well, I will. I mean, you just never know. And, so maybe I'd be an alternate. I don't know. If there's any thought you might possibly do that, but one of us had to speak first. I just jumped on it, I guess. Or Mackenzie, really.
As chair, I'm spread pretty thin, so this is going to be. I mean, in all honesty, this is going to be a pretty meaty committee. So it will need somebody who's able to, spend some time on it.
Since we're not going to actually do much till January, February, whenever it is anyways, might we go with Kelly for now and leave the other spot open unless Mark is willing to do it? And we may have somebody else
Yep.
come
We-
along.
We
Yeah.
can do
What
that.
do you think?
That's a big ask. So we need a community member that wants to be on the school committee and sit on the subcommittee with me.
Yeah.
We could be friends, guys. Come
We
join us.
can do it. I have faith we can do
1,000
it.
people
Well,
out there listening. Come
that-
join
We
me.
That
can
may
do
be
it.
the thing that gets somebody on. the
That's
school
right.
committee.
There we
That's
go.
right. All right. Yes, we definitely can do that. We will circle back for the January meeting if we
Brian's
don't
gonna
have
have a
anybody.
run on the
before
town
that.
hall this week.
Maybe when we put that announcement in the newsletter, we can also we can also reiterate, because I think it's already put out there regularly, that we need another member.
Yep. We can definitely do that. Okay, so moving on. We have some policies that we're going to do our first read on. Remember, first read is literally that, just the first time reading through it, kind of digesting it. These will come back to us several more times for any adjustments that we need to make to them. So we have our tobacco use on school property by staff members, prohibited policy. I'm not going to do the letters because it means nothing to anybody. The family medical leave policy, the prohibition of hazing policy, the bullying prevention policy, and our hazing policy. So the prohibition of hazing and hazing policy are the same policy.
Sort of. The prohibition is that we don't allow it, and hazing is telling you what hazing is.
Thank you for clarifying, because they do have the same number, the same letter, but
hazing has the E.
The
which means
E
it's
is
a
the
sub-
explanation.
The explanation of the.
We learned
oh,
this.
thank you for pointing that. I honestly didn't even see the E. Thank you. Okay, so they are two separate. Gotcha.
Now, these have all been voted by the policy committee, right?
Yep, they've
Yes.
all gone, they've already gone through policy now.
Yes.
So they've
Now
had
they're
two.
here.
Okay.
They've had 2 readings in the policy committee.
Okay.
Yes.
First reading for us.
Right.
Yes. That's how I learned the difference.
Gotcha. No, you know what? I didn't even see the E. So thank you for pointing that out. Okay. So that concludes our open meeting. Our next school committee meeting is on January 20th. We have school policy at 6:30, and then our regular school committee meeting starts at 7 here. Again, it is just our February meeting that is changing the date. So January stays the same. And we will go into executive session for the purposes of approval of minutes. So we will be leaving open meeting not to return, and we will. So we will go into executive session in accordance with open meeting law, general law, chapter 30A, section 21, to comply with or act under the authority of or any general or special law or federal grant in aid requirements. So we need to roll call vote in.
Do you need that seconded that
Yes.
I second that we move into executive session, right?
Yes. So I made the
Per
motion.
your words.
Yes. I made the motion. You seconded it. So we roll call vote. So we'll start with you.
Mark Blatchley, aye.
Bailey, aye.
Sykes, aye.
Hammock,
Thank you so much for coming, and everyone have a wonderful holiday. Happy New Year. We probably won't see everybody, those thousands of people out there, until next year. So that's exciting.
Thank you.
Thank you.